Well, in the meantime, the U.S. strategy in Syria hasn't been changed much over the years of conflict. It's still a case of battling Assad while saying it's battling ISIL. Caleb Maupin reports.
When describing the Syrian conflict, which has been raging for 5 years at the cost of hundreds of thousands of lives, the U.S. has always narrowed the problem down to one man.
In Syria, the only way that the civil war will end is an inclusive political transition to a new government without Bashar Assad.
Assad has to go.
It's time for Assad to get out of the way.
It is time for Bashar to go.
But Assad hasn't gone. In fact, the majority voted for him in the last election. But despite his popularity, the U.S. continues to fund opposition rebels while insisting that there is only one reason Assad is still in power.
Russia states an intent to fight ISIL on the one hand, and to support Bashar al-Assad and his regime on the other. That approach is tantamount, as I said then, to pouring gasoline on the fire.
An attempt by Russia and Iran to prop up Assad and try to pacify the population is just going to get them stuck in a quagmire. And it won't work.
They keep pressing for that outcome and supporting the terrorists as leverage for that outcome. How can there be a diplomatic solution then if that's the only solution that Washington is willing to accept?
However, you may remember the times when it seemed like the U.S. was trying to get on the same page with Russia.
And I want to thank President Putin for his willingness to pick up on the possibility of negotiating an end to Syrian weapons of mass destruction.
We are engaged in an effort with all of the members of the International Syria Support Group and with Russia particularly, in an effort to restore that cessation of hostilities in those places where it has been most at risk or most shredded.
U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry for you, so friendly in public. He sang a very different tune, though, when he thought he could actually speak his mind out of the sight of TV cameras.
I've argued for the use of force. I stood up. I'm the guy who stood up and announced we're going to attack Assad because of the weapons. And then, you know, things evolved into a different process.
Now, cooperation is suspended. All options are on the table, again, and the mysterious Plan B has vanished.
I'd like to understand what Plan B is. Just explain to us the elements of Plan B.
Two things, Mr. Chairman. Russia's actions. This is going, of course, to be bad for everyone, but it's going to be bad first and foremost.
I want to hear about Plan B.
Well,
I understand all the context here.
I think, sir, this is important because Russia against Russia, Assad.
Give me the elements of Plan B.
So two things. Again, the consequences, Russia, the regime, Russia's actions.
Let me just say what we already know. There is no Plan B.
Well, I think that's been the case all along, that there's never really been a Plan B. No one in the Obama administration really believes that there's any major new undertaking that the administration could try that would really change the reality there.
The ceasefire is over, but the grandstanding and geopolitical maneuvers continue. Meanwhile, ISIL and al-Nusra are getting stronger, and the Syrian people keep suffering. Caleb Maupin, RT, New York.